Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Duckman TV. I have a special guest on tonight. I have Kirsten. She is from Green Hills Netball Club in the Hawkesbury district. Kirsten, how are you going?
Oh, I'm great, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was absolutely my pleasure. So I haven't had many chats to any netball people. It's been like the last frontier for me, like a Mount Everest style thing in the sports world to crack into. It's hard because I try to give it a fair bit of coverage in the local level. And it's just a little bit difficult to find out the information about it. So can you tell us a little bit about your experience, how you got involved with netball?
Sure. Look, I got involved with netball through my youngest, who has been playing now for 8 seasons. They just turned 13. And I used to pick them up from after school care, and we would drive home past the Hawkesbury netball courts, and they'd see all the kids there training, and they'd say, I want to do that. Just, from driving past and seeing all these kids just at training, not even at a game, but they, were having a great time playing with their friends. So the year that they turned 6, we went to register for netball. And the rest, as they say, is history. I ended up getting involved myself in 2020 with the executive of Green Hills Netball Club, and I'm currently the club secretary. So my role is basically to organise things, everything from the gear to the coaches, through to, registration so that our players can register online at the start of the season. It's a pretty varied role, keeps me very busy, but I always say I've got the best seat in the house because I get to go to all the games. So everything from our little Net Set Go kids who can now start at 5, if you turn 5 by the 31st of July. So same as starting primary school, you could start playing netball.
That's very cool. That is very cool indeed. So that's the youngest age group, isn't it? You can get involved in netball. So you need to be 5 by 31st July and play Net Set Go, which goes to under 9s, doesn't it?
Yeah, so you play Net Set Go up to the year that you turn 9. So it's a modified game. They have lower posts, smaller balls, and they play with modified rules. So it's an introductory program to introduce them to netball without them, having to follow all of the rules. I mean, in netball, you catch and pass the ball within 3 seconds. Which is pretty quick. So for Net Set Go, that's modified. And they'll play Net Set Go up to the year that they turn 9, and then they move into junior netball, which is full rules. Yeah.
Now, I never knew that you had to pass the ball in netball within 3 seconds. I knew about traveling, can't move your foot when you catch the ball, your anchor foot and all that sort of stuff. Now, I didn't know about the 3-second pass rule. I just thought teams like to play counter-attack, attacking interesting netball. So
that's why it's such a quick game. So the umpires have got a lot to keep up with. And yes, when you catch the ball, you have to ground your foot. You can't take a step. You can't run away with the ball. You have to pass it to your teammates. And with 7 players on the court, and each of them has got restrictions for which part of the court they can be in, you've got to get the ball from one end down to your goal circle and into that ring as quick as you can.
So it looks very good when you watch the internationals and you watch Super Netball on TV and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, it does.
In reality, it's quite different when you come back to the grassroots level, but the girls are all doing their best.
Oh, I look, absolutely. And certainly you'll see some good competitive games up at Hawkesbury Netball on a Saturday. Not quite that quick with the younger players, but starting out at that young age, they start to develop those skills. And you never know, there might be a little one playing up at Hawkesbury now who could end up playing for the Diamonds.
Or like another Tilly McDonald or something like that.
Exactly. Yes, Tilly did get her start at Hawkesbury, so did Liz Ellis. In fact, Liz Ellis was originally with Green Hills Netball.
Oh, really? So I didn't know that.
We were her first club.
So her sister Kath Ellis used to be one of her fitness trainers at rugby union when I played at Hawkesbury Valley in 1997 when I was a young guy. And we thought it was a bit of a joke that we had a female netball person there being a fitness trainer, but she was pretty ruthless, really.
Oh, yeah.
So got touched up a little bit because she wasn't very forgiving either. And some of the guys were like, hang on, this doesn't normally happen.
Oh, see, netball is a really intense sport. So to play at that high level, you need to be fit.
Yeah, so that is one thing I've seen. So it is a very quick game, counter-attacking. It is different to hockey and soccer, but I would like, from how I interpret games and that, would interpret it similar to probably like hockey, how in tactics you want to spread the ball, open up the field and go forward to attack. So, but it's in a much more fluid method, really.
Oh, absolutely. And, you want to intercept that ball if your opposition's got it, get it off them and get it back down your end.
Yep. So how big is Green Hills Netball Club in the Hawkesbury district? How many clubs are there, and how big is Green Hills?
Oh, well, Green Hills has been around since 1978. So we are 45 years old this year.
Yep.
This year we have 7 teams. So we are one of the smaller clubs. But there are clubs spread across the Hawkesbury. So, people can find one that's local to them.
Yep.
But we've been a bigger club in our time. We're currently one of the smaller ones with 2 Net Set Go teams.
Yep.
We've also got a team of 10, 11-year-olds, an intermediate team, which is your teenagers, and then our senior teams.
Yeah.
So we've got some really great kids playing for us coming through in, some in their first year, some that have, we've got some senior players that have been playing with us for over 10 years.
Yeah.
So it's a good family club at Green Hills. It really is a family.
Yeah, that's good. And that's what you want people to have, an experience where they're going to enjoy that, embrace it, be a family-like experience, and you get to play with your friends. One benefit, I suppose, in netball compared to some of the other sports I've played, like soccer and rugby, the game's all at one place, aren't they? So they never
are,
just go from
yes,
the ground.
Same place, same time each week. And having spoken to some families that came to netball via other sports, the first time they said to me, "Oh, where do we play next week?" And I said, "We play right here." They were surprised because they were accustomed to having to go to different fields, perhaps, even to different associations, depending on how big their competition was.
Yeah.
At varying times. But, for the Net Set Goes, it's, every Saturday, 9 a.m.
Yeah.
For the other teams, they have their designated time slot, and that doesn't change until finals, which is the last 3 weeks of the season.
Yeah. So how many courts are there down at Hawkesbury? So I do notice that a lot of netball courts have been around for quite a long time, and they're asphalt, so it's not good on the knees when you're stacking it and that sort of stuff.
No, there's 25 courts altogether. And falling on the asphalt can be a bit tough on the knees, but we all carry, a box of big Band-Aids.
Yeah.
But there's the 25 courts there, and it's been asphalt for as long as I've been involved in netball. There are a couple of grass courts that are left. Previously, it has all been grass, but it's a great association. There's games there from 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning through to the last one at 2:30 in the afternoon. So if anybody's interested to see what's netball about, come on down and watch a game.
Yeah. So later in the afternoon, that's when you've got your A grade and B grade women to playing. Yes. A1s, A2s, B grades, and all of that sort of stuff.
Yes, so they play at either 1 o'clock or 2:30.
Yeah.
In the mornings, it is the junior divisions and then into the intermediates.
Yes. Yeah. So I imagine that playing all of the games in the association all at one court is very good, because it keeps cost prohibitive level, as opposed to other sports where it might cost $6,000 to hire a field and pay for your lights and right throughout the year. If all of the games are at one place and everyone's paying towards registration fees, that would help bring down the overall cost of registration and field hire and all this sort of stuff as well.
Yeah, we pay our registration once at the start of the season.
Yeah.
And that registration incorporates fees from Hawkesbury Council, Hawkesbury City Netball, Netball New South Wales, and Netball Australia. We don't have the weekly court fees that some other sports might have to pay for your grounds hire.
Yeah.
It's all taken care of at the start of the year with the registration. And we're also an active kids provider. So, if you're paying registration for an under 18 and you've got an active kids voucher, you can apply that to your netball registration at the start of the year.
Yeah. Now, I believe if I have it right, if I remember correctly, I was going through reading all the registrations out this year for all different clubs, and you run a couple of try netball sessions. Is that right? At the start of the year?
That was another club.
Yeah.
Matt, we didn't do those at the start of this year, but a couple of clubs did.
Yeah.
And Woolworths, who sponsor the Net Set Go program, also set up on their website the facility for us to list that we have Net Set Go teams, so that if somebody is perhaps new to the area, doesn't know much about where to find sports but has heard about Net Set Go, if they were to find themselves on the Net Set Go website, they could locate our club, and then my contact details were there if they had any more questions.
Yes. Well, it's the best way to go. So I always promote it when I'm promoting clubs, to have a look on the Facebook pages and go through that. It's got the so I don't know all the registration details of the club, so it's easier. I've checked out everyone's Facebook pages and they all promote through that. It's the easiest way to get involved. So
Facebook, definitely.
Yeah. So is your club still looking for players in different age groups? And how many players can you register in the team? You've got 7 in the team. How many?
Well,
can
there's 7 on the court at a time.
Yep.
We will generally register up to 9 for our junior teams, because if you have too many kids sitting on the sidelines, they don't get enough of a go.
Yeah.
But with 7 on the court and a couple of reserves, you can then rotate your players. If somebody happens to be out sick on a Saturday or gets injured, then you've got somebody who can take that place.
Yeah.
But it's generally 8 or 9 get registered into a team, 7 on the court at any given time.
Yeah. So your court location too on Mileham Street down at South Windsor, it's in the basis where the majority of people live in the Hawkesbury. It's in a very central location. You've got clubs as far away as Wilberforce and Riverston.
Yes, Riverston plays at the Hawkesbury Association. Also Colo, who are based in North Richmond. There's a club based at Glossodia. And the other clubs are all based around South Windsor.
So that makes it very convenient too, because it's like no more than a 25-minute drive at the most for anyone to go to play your games, as opposed if you played soccer, you might get Wentworth Falls in your competition and you got to be there at 9 a.m.
Absolutely. And then your other kid who also plays, you've got to get them back down to to Benson's Lane. It's so even if you've got more than one family member playing, because the games are all at the same location and what the timetable is week in, week out, it does make it easier for planning.
Yes, that's one thing I like. One other thing I noticed with netball, it doesn't get rained out too often. Did have a couple of situations last year where games were rained out. When we had extreme rain.
We did. I think the Hawkesbury got rained out last season. But no, being an asphalt surface, if there's been rain during the week, we don't have the worry about the damage to the grounds potentially if we play on them a couple of days after rain, because once the rain stops, it dries pretty quick. We've had the occasional game rained out just because the rain was torrential during the time slot of the game. And of course last year when we had the bridge closures, because people couldn't get to the courts, even if the courts themselves were dry. We had teams stuck on other sides of the bridges, so that caused a couple of delays.
I figured out that's why the games got cancelled, because not everyone could get to the game. So
yes,
it makes very unfortunate. All right, if you're playing water polo or something like that and want to play across the flooded river, but don't recommend doing anything like that, actually.
No. So
Liz Ellis is free at the moment too. She's traveling around Australia. She's not doing anything in particular. I think she's on a year-long break from all the media commitments and stuff that she does. Have you thought about trying to reach out to her and get her re-engaged on the 45th anniversary of the club? And
at the moment, she's in the jungle. She's on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here.
Well, there you go. Now, I didn't know that. Interesting.
So, but yeah, she's she's a life member and long-time friend of the club. But it's, we're all, watching and voting for Liz. If if she wins that, it's a great for her chosen charity too, which was Share the Dignity.
Yeah.
But yes, we're already starting to think about the 50th celebrations.
Yeah.
Which are not too far down the track. There are a couple of other clubs in the Hawkesbury that have already reached that milestone.
Yeah.
So the netball's been played at Hawkesbury for quite a long time now.
Yeah, absolutely, for quite a long time. So what is your strategy moving forward? So you're in an area, unfortunately for you, it's not a big growth area around South Windsor and all of that at the moment. It's not like new developing suburbs, and you're kind of in an old area. It is rejuvenating. You're getting younger people move into the area and that, but you're not getting like Pitt Towns on the outskirts, got some new suburbs going in there.
They do, but you'll find often with netball, kids want to play where their friends from school are.
Yep.
There's also been some people from the newer developments around Marsden Park have come to Hawkesbury to play this year, because they're probably in between, Blacktown Association or Hawkesbury.
Yeah.
So there are still, new members coming in every year, and even the siblings of some of our current players as they get to be old enough to play.
Yeah.
So our strategy has always been just to keep being who we are.
Yeah.
Our priority is to get kids playing sport.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's got to be the priority. I like the Good Sports program that the government brought in a few years ago to get kids being more active and give out the Active Kids vouchers. It's all about just promoting good health and well-being and getting outside and doing something else, because things have changed a lot since we were growing up. And you go and do whatever you want, and now it's lots more sedentary time, unfortunately.
Oh, look, absolutely there is, but we train once a week. Games are on a Saturday, and if you come up to the courts on a Saturday, you won't see kids sitting around doing nothing. If they're not playing themselves, they're watching their friends or siblings play. Once they get to around 13 or 14, they may decide to train up to be an umpire. So they can start that training at that age. They may even start coaching. Junior coaches are often around the 13, 14 mark. So there's a lot to do, even working in the canteen. Each club has an allocation of canteen duty.
I was going to ask, how does that work? Because I know the netball associations now have a centralised canteen they do in Penrith, and all the clubs get allocated duties and have to do it so often. How does that work?
Well, we do it twice a season. Each club has an allocation. We've got a canteen day coming up a couple of weeks after we go back, and being a smaller club, we share our duty with another smaller club, and we have 4 people at any given time in the canteen or on the barbecue. It's a great place for a sausage sizzle on a Saturday.
How much does sausage sizzle cost?
Just the sausage sizzle. You're testing my memory now. I think it's about $6, but they also have bacon and eggs. We've got steak.
Good.
You can even get one with the lot if that takes your fancy, and of course, onion on top. But each club will put together a roster so that people are volunteering either in the hour before or the hour after their kids' game. And certainly the players, once they're old enough, can do duty for themselves. They don't need to allocate that to mum and dad. And so that then helps to keep the canteen and the barbecue going, because especially on those cold winter mornings, nothing smells quite as good as that barbecue when it gets fired up.
That's right. And it's a good, sensible approach to take, really, to get the clubs to have ownership of the canteen and how the canteen's going to run for the association. Do funds come the way of the club when they're running the canteen? Like, is there a split with the association and the clubs who are involved with running it?
The funds go to the association. There's a manager in the canteen who runs it, and so the volunteers are there to serve.
That's all right. Too easy. I wondered how the whole setup worked. It looks like a pretty well-oiled cog, the
It
netball
is.
canteens?
We've got it down to a fine art.
Yeah.
Over the years, there's great variety in the canteen. You know, sandwiches, salads, hot food, tea and coffee.
Yeah. So I notice there's a very big social element to netball as well. I would say it rivals somewhat, when you get to senior players, it rivals somewhat what you would experience being involved with football and football trips. And I've heard a lot about different things that can happen. Can't talk about all of them on this, but have some quite good experiences being involved in netball as well, don't you? As a parent and also as a participant.
Oh, look, it is very social, and you find that you know, you end up making friends at netball that you'll probably have for the rest of your life.
Yep.
You know, for my child, when they started at 6, we didn't know anybody who played netball. You know, they'd only done 1 year at school. They went to a fairly small primary school, so there wasn't, you know, sort of a big group of kids saying, "Oh, I play with this club, come and play with us." We didn't know much about it.
Yeah.
So when they started playing at Green Hills, they made a whole bunch of new friends.
Which is the best way to meet people, get involved in integrated
Absolutely.
community sports. And
yeah.
And so is there, I imagine there's a massive range of diversity in the netball as well, as there are in some other sports with different cultures and all this sort of stuff too.
Yep, there is. There absolutely is. And I mean, I've made friends with people that I probably never would have met otherwise.
Yeah.
You know, I was never a netball player. I came to it through my child.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you know, I would probably drive past and know what was happening over there, and, you know, not know what I was missing out on.
Yeah.
But it is very social. You know, after the last game on a Saturday, we might head down to Windsor Leagues Club, have a drink,
Yeah.
you know, stay for dinner. It's you know, it's a great setup they've got there.
Yeah.
And you know, you find that with the length of the season as well, starting in March going all the way through to September, you know, we spend quite a bit of time with each other.
Yeah. Now, does netball run around the clock too, like as in the summer competition? I know they were trying to get up a summer competition last year. Is that a very minor thing, like a side
there was a
competition, or is
twilight
it?
comp.
Yeah.
So the twilight competition ran basically during term 4 of school, so finished up just before school did.
Yeah.
So that's, you know, that's probably more of a social competition, the twilight netball, but, you know, it keeps the kids active.
Yeah.
That was played, you know, later in the evening, because, you know, being a winter sport, playing it in summer is a little bit different. You know, we're used to rugging up against the July mornings to then be up there on a November afternoon.
Yeah.
You know, lots of Powerade, lots of ice blocks.
Yeah. 35 degrees. Yeah.
Yes. But that was an 8-week comp, the twilight.
Yeah. So with that twilight competition, the summer comp, clubs normally successful, and have you been successful in the past and even this season in picking up players for your winter teams?
Yeah, that's where people who think they might like to do netball but weren't sure about the commitment to a full, you know, 15 to 18 week season will give it a go.
Yep.
I know last year a couple of the teams that we played against, and we had a mixed team in twilight. It wasn't just kids from Green Hills. It was you know, a couple of school friends as well came to join in, and yet we were playing against teams of kids that hadn't played netball before but thought that they would give it a try and then decide whether they wanted to commit to the full winter season. So a short competition like twilight is great for that.
Yeah, I think it's a very good way to engage with new players, because new players like, oh, I'm not too sure. So that happens in soccer as well, and different things. So people can try something that's a bit less, with a little bit less commitment, see if they actually enjoy it without having to lay out maybe $300 or $400 like will come if you register for soccer. Talking about registrations, how much does it cost to register, let's say, under 10 or under 11 girl, if you did that, or even a senior player? What are the registration costs?
Okay. So our registration fee this year for the Net Set Go players was $190, and then your active kids comes off that.
Yep.
So for a parent, if you've got an active kids voucher, it was $90 for the registration.
Yep.
The uniform, if you buy a brand new one, the uniform is the netball dress. Those are $80, and then you just wear white socks with them.
Yep.
We do have hoodies and polo shirts, which players can buy if they like, but those are optional.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it for the cost. And we do have a bit of a secondhand market on our Facebook page. Sometimes people will post their dresses that they've got for sale. So if you need one the next size up, you may not need to pay full price.
Yeah.
If you can pick one up secondhand. For the seniors, the registration fee was $290 for the year, and that's a one-time fee. So once you've paid your registration, that's it.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good cost, because to play, like, compare it to the other sports games. So if people want to play soccer, if they're sitting out there thinking about it, it's about $350 to $400. So, and sometimes look, you can go to clubs where it's cheaper. Might go it's $280 or $250. And then they'll tack on 18 weeks of match fees at $10 a pop or whatever. So it really comes back up to like $450 anyway, plus your shorts, socks, whatever else. You could be looking somewhere between $400 to $500. So it's very competitive prices too, for people who want to be involved in netball.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the cost of living, we hear all the time, it's going up and up. Yep. And like I said, our priority is we want kids to play sport. So, if that can be affordable for them, especially for families that have got more than one child that might want to play, or for seniors that want to come back and play for themselves on a Saturday afternoon.
Yep.
You do want that to be affordable.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. You want it to be affordable. And that's what people are looking for now. If they want to be involved in sports and everything like that, with the cost of everything effectively just going up by 30 or 40% across the board for everything in the last couple of years, it's scary. So people worry about all these sorts of things, and unfortunately some of the first things they'll cut will be things that they love the most and give them joy from all the other things that are stressing people out, like the sport. So
yeah,
have you seen a drop off or rise in number in the last couple of years on the back of COVID and all this sort of stuff?
It's probably been fairly stable. The first year of COVID, we'd already had registration. We do registration in late January. So by the time the impact of COVID was felt towards the end of March, we had started the season, and, like anything else, we didn't really know what was coming. The next two seasons, we did have the ability to discount the registration fees that people were paying through discounts that were also provided by the association.
Yeah.
To help people to get back into sport. Because, I think I agree with you. Sometimes it's the thing that you've got to look forward to in the week. And I often say this to my 13-year-old, if you've had a bad day at school, if maybe you're having an argument, with a friend, you can leave all that behind and go to netball and, play your game and watch your other friends play and watch the little kids play and have a great day. And it's, it really is, I often say that it's good for the soul.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a big point of difference with sports. So that at the end of the day, everyone does it as a social activity so they can enjoy their lives. It's fulfilling doing something else and doing it with your friends and community. And when COVID was going bad and everyone was locked down, it gave you an opportunity to actually get out and do something. So when we didn't get to do that for so long.
Yes, yeah. The first year the season was interrupted, but we did come back at the end.
Yes.
The second year of COVID, though, the June school holidays, we thought we were off for our 2-week holiday break. The next lockdown came down in the middle of that, and that was the end of the season.
Yeah.
And all we could do was just wait for the advice from Netball New South Wales and Netball Australia, and we ended up not going back. So last year was our first full season, so we're gearing up for another one this year.
Yep.
And hopefully leave those half seasons firmly in the review and just get back to playing sport.
Absolutely, got to look at the glass half full picture as opposed to what was happening in
Oh,
the past. Everyone's got to remember it was in the past now. So
yeah, absolutely. It was. And I mean, when you're up there at the courts on a Saturday and there's a new little kid in the team who hasn't played before, but they get their hands on the ball and they get it in the ring for their first ever goal.
Yeah.
It's that's an amazing feeling.
Yeah. So do you get excited being a parent of players, watching them play? Do you get very excited, and do you get revved up like you see the footy crowds like, come on, get into it?
No, I keep it all on the inside.
Yeah.
Absolutely, you're excited, and there's all types of different parents, I guess, in all sports. But I'm very much an excited on the inside. My player has said, don't do the yelling and shouting, Mum, because
it's embarrassing.
we need to hear the coach, we need to hear the umpires. There's 2 umpires on a netball game, and the players need to be able to hear them.
Yeah.
But absolutely, there is cheering for goals. There is, cheering for both teams at the end of the game.
Yes.
And with the little kids, with the net set goes, anybody who gets a goal, there's clapping, cheering from both sides of the courts.
Yes.
We celebrate all of it.
And that's what you need to do. So to embrace all players from both sides. So it's competition, but ultimately trying to provide a sport for kids to play and people to enjoy themselves.
Oh, absolutely.
One thing I really like about netball that I've seen, you see, unfortunately, in the media, there's all this different garbage going on, different things happen on football and soccer and all those different things. Soccer probably not quite so bad, but you just see stuff that like whatever. It's just unpleasant stuff to see. And netball doesn't never see or hear about any of this sort of stuff. Seems to be a high level of respect for the referees. It probably helps. Got a lot of referees are coming up with being junior players moved up, and there's just a high level of discipline in managing that whole process. You don't hear about these problems.
Oh, look, absolutely, there is. We're very firm on, respect for other players, respect for the referees, respect for your own team, respect for yourself. The association does not tolerate poor behaviour on the court or towards referees. For a lot of our referees, they even still play as seniors. So they'll have come up as a junior, and a lot of them will still play themselves in the senior competition, as well as refereeing, sometimes 2 or 3 games in a day.
Yeah. So how much can a netball referee make in a day if you're doing junior games and then senior games?
Oh, well, that depends on whether or not you've got your umpire's badge. So there are referees who are unbadged, but they also, after a few years of experience, and they work their way up at Hawkesbury in a sequential fashion. So if we don't take a 13-year-old umpire and pop them on a senior game, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
They start with the junior ones. So those are the kids that are their first year of full rules. They're 10 years old.
Yeah.
And through a mentoring process, they will umpire with the guidance of a mentor who's right there beside them for the whole game.
Yeah.
Until they've got the skills and the confidence for the association to say, you can do this by yourself next week. And then they'll do the same for the next age group and so on and so forth. But once they've been umpiring for a few years, they can actually go down the path of getting their national badge, which is an accreditation through Netball Australia. And there's a number of levels, starting with a Netball C, then a B, and then after A, you're looking at, potentially accreditation to do, super netball level, even international.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, look, it absolutely is, and it's quite a process. So I've told my 13-year-old who's in their first year of junior umpiring, that it is a ways down the track, but if it's something that they wanted to do, if they had the goal to be a super netball or even an international umpire, they could work their way through the stages and absolutely get up to doing that.
Well, I've told a lot
their
of
mum
people.
Gets free tickets.
Yeah, well, There's benefits to everything, isn't there? So,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah. So, talking about free tickets and all this sort of stuff. So, how much connection does Hawkesbury Netball Association and your club? How much does have to do with GWS Giants Netball and also with like Uni New South Wales Flames?
Not particularly any connection with Flames.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of, if you want to go and see a netball game, you can even go to a super netball game for a really reasonable price. Tickets are not overpriced. You can get, still a good seat. You're up the top, but Ken Rosewall Arena is not so huge that a seat in the nosebleeds means you can see nothing. You can have a day out at the netball. A family ticket for 4 can be as little as $45 for all 4 seats.
Yeah, you can catch that. Giants have got that on their Facebook page advertising.
Yes.
Yeah. So I wonder what was in a family ticket, what you got for $45. So
2 adults, 2 kids.
Yep. That's a pretty good deal. And
it is. And both Swifts and Giants also have, memberships so that you can take advantage of those for pre-booked seats. But an afternoon out at the netball it's not particularly cost prohibitive. But if you want the premium seats right down the front, they certainly will set you back a bit more. But both Swifts and Giants will, at a home game, hang around after they've done their cool down, and you can go down to the edge of the stadium, talk to the players, get them to sign your shirt, get a selfie. Pre-COVID, there were a lot of fan events. They've just started coming back now this year, where you can go down to Netball Central and spend a few hours with the players.
That's very good. They get to do, the players, the young girls get to do that, or even senior players, because you get to meet people who are your idols and see that is realistic. So you've got people like Tilly McDonald that come from the Hawkesbury Netball courts playing there and playing Super Netball and for Australia now as well in international.
Yes. I mean, the Giants are running a school holiday clinic at the PCYC. I believe it was either today or tomorrow. So as a school holiday activity, you could spend a day doing netball skills. As a club, Green Hills we organised last year for Susan Pettit clinics for our players. And we subsidise the cost of those thanks to some really generous sponsorship we have with Windsor Leagues Club and Early Learning on George.
Yeah, that's very cool.
It is. And, particularly for the little kids who knew that Susan was somebody famous but didn't quite know who they were, because she's not played for a couple of years now. When we said she was, an Australian diamond, they were thrilled. And here she was at the Hawkesbury courts on a Sunday morning teaching them netball skills. Yeah,
it gets very, very real. And that would be fabulous. So now I collect all sorts of sports cards. Do they have netball cards? Can you collect super netball cards?
They did for a couple of years, but I don't know that the uptake was particularly huge. You could buy a pack of them through Woolworths and newsagents. No bubble gum. Just
that's a rip-off.
I know. Just packs of cards. And some of them were, limited edition, signatures, gold foil, that sort of thing. So there was, losing my earphones here. There was quite an online, trade for those. So I think they did that for 2 years, but nothing now. Not like football cards. And even when I was a kid and I didn't particularly follow football, I knew that there were football cards.
Well, you always used to get the Scanlon's Chewy with it as well. So sometimes you used to buy packets of cards from America and stuff like that, and you eat the Chewy there, and it's like eating a bit of cardboard because it's dried out and gone hard.
It's different Chewy. Yep.
It's very different.
So I think for things like when there's always merchandise available for the different teams. So if you go to a game on a Saturday afternoon down at Olympic Park, you will see people wearing shirts, jackets. Even up at the Hawkesbury courts, you will see Swifts and Giants shirts.
That's
walking past. It's becoming, I think, more visible too for the younger kids, they see it now as being up there with football and soccer, as this is a career for the players.
Yeah.
You know, in Liz Ellis's day, they were winning Commonwealth Games gold medals and all still working full time to support themselves.
Yeah. So it must be a big deal now that Super Netball's been probably professional it's a benchmark in professional women's sports. So for amount of money that players are getting, followed pretty closely by T20 cricket or women's T20 cricket, and the AFLW making grounds on that. How much can a Super Netball player make?
Look, the really top ones, they'll have sponsorship deals and things like that as well. They could be on, 100 grand.
Yeah.
It's
pretty good money.
It's a big commitment.
Yeah.
So, they're away. Depending on when the home games are, they could be away every second week.
Yeah.
Some of them do manage to study and to work around that, but it's a big commitment.
Yeah. I believe Tilly McDonald is doing an engineering degree or something like that. Something similar
law,
to this.
I think.
Engineering. Yeah, law.
Yes.
Is it Sydney Uni or Macquarie Uni or something like that? So
yeah. It's and to me, even the universities now are, probably much more accommodating of, students who are playing at that level of elite sport. But yeah, quite a few, Swifts players have undertaken university studies while also playing, at that level. It's a big commitment, so it's good to see that they're now being paid. Certainly, it's not on par with some other professional sports. Yeah, but it's getting there.
It's improving. It's a step in the right direction. So yeah, and it can get better on the back of that. So I remember my first experience as netball was as a young guy. I was playing soccer. I just moved to the Hawkesbury area too, and was playing for Bligh Park. And I lived at South Windsor on James Street, so I had to ride past the netball courts, and I kind of got distracted as a 17-year-old guy. Unfortunately, that happened. Got distracted on the way to soccer and got delayed for a little while. I was checking out the netball, impressed. Number one, how good it was and how big the competition was, and just thinking, I have to come back and check that out later on and come back past. It's just massive. It surprised me. So. I'd seen it around Penrith and Jamison Park and that one, playing soccer in the Penrith area, but never really checked it out too much. But it was like literally 200 meters down the road from my house. I used to just go down there sometimes and watch the games. The quality was pretty good. So in the 90s, really.
Yeah. So, it's a great game. We're now seeing more boys starting to play.
Yeah. So
boys can play in a mixed team up to under 12. And the association is looking at trying to get a boys and mixed senior competition together. There were mixed teams playing Twilight over the summer. And I mean, the Men's Netball League is amazing to watch if you have the opportunity to watch a game. They did have last year some curtain opens before the international games that were played in Australia. The English men's team came out and played against the Australian men's team before some of the international games, and it's a great game for everybody. Netball. So whether you're in it because you're really competitive and you want to play at that high level, or whether you're looking for a social sport to spend some time with your friends on a Saturday afternoon, netball's got something for everybody.
So, and that's what I thought was interesting when I come past and saw that. So as a young guy, the hustle and bustle. So there is something for everybody. So it's actually quite physical, which I didn't realise till really watching it. I just think, you're just throwing a ball around. It's not that.
It's a lot more than that.
Yeah, and they're very fit and very fast as well. Just went, this is all right. I don't know if I could do it now. I could have done it all right then, probably. But what are the differences between the men's and women's netball? So do they play it slightly differently in their strategies and stuff like that, or is it effectively the same game?
Oh, look, it's the same game.
Yeah.
Same rules.
Yeah.
There's not really a lot of differences. Certainly, there's I think you'll find a lot of the men's netballers are actually wearing basketball shoes
Yeah.
But there's, it's the same game. It's not been modified in any way.
Yeah.
But it's very, very competitive. Speaking to even some of the Twilight players who were giving it a go last year because they thought, come along, make up numbers. A couple of them said to me, I didn't realise just how intense this game could be.
Yeah, that's what I saw about it.
Yeah.
So I've seen some guys when I was at high school as well. They had mixed netball and that stuff. And some of the girls players I went to school with, they were pretty good players. And one of them went on and played softball for Australia and that sort of stuff. And she was pretty full on playing on the netball court. And there are plenty of other players like that as well. And they took it up to the guys, and the guys got a surprise because they thought it was going to be a bit of a cakewalk, and it's just there was assumption. The assumption was there, this will be easy, and there's a rude shock. So how quick it would move around.
And then they've got to keep up for 60 minutes, 4 15-minute quarters.
Yeah. So that's what caught a lot of these guys out. So just, oh wow, hang on, they go end to end, 3 or 4 passes, and they've just blown us off. We can't run with the ball. So physical size and power doesn't particularly matter. It's like a lot of finesse in the skills and the delivery of the game.
Absolutely, and a lot of strategy. Knowing how quick your teammate can get to a space so that if you throw the ball there before your teammate has taken off, that they will get to it in time and before your opposition.
Yeah. So yes.
So a lot of strategy.
That is one thing, absolutely. So if there's one thing you could get for Green Hills this year for the club, what would you like to get if you haven't got something now? What would be on your wish list or your top of your list?
Oh, look, on our wish list, we would love to get a new team of 6-year-olds together for next year.
Yep.
So if there's, anybody who's thinking, oh, look, I'm going to be looking for a sport for my little one for next year. If you're thinking about netball, get in touch with us through the Facebook page. You're welcome to come down and have a look, check out a game on a Saturday. Boys or girls can play at Net Set Go.
Yep.
But come and check it out. Have a sausage sizzle at the canteen. See what it's like. And you're always welcome.
Yeah, that's really good. So, do you have any sides that need players now? You're looking for registrations?
We're pretty well set for this season. We've got all of our teams are full, which is a great thing to be able to say.
Yep.
And we've got some good variety. We've got younger Net Set Go teams right through to the teenagers, and then our 3 senior teams.
Yep. So the senior teams are aiming to get up into A1. Is that the long-term aim for them, or they're just more social players?
No, they're pretty competitive.
Yep.
At the moment, we've got a cadets team, so they're the younger seniors.
Yep.
And as well as 2 B grade teams.
Yep.
So no, we don't have an A1 team this year, but we may well in a couple of years' time.
Yeah, that's good. It's development process. It's all building blocks and work towards the future. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So Kirsten, I really appreciate your time tonight. Thank you very much for coming and having a chat with us. You told me a lot about your club, about netball as a whole. And like I said, the level of competitiveness when you go and watch it. A lot of guys, if they haven't been around because their daughters haven't been involved in it or anything like that, you'll be surprised how, number one, how actually tough it is, and the skill level and how quick it is. So last time I tried it, I thought, I'll blow through this, will be easy. I was left staggering at the back. So I just went, let's not do this again in a hurry because I looked very dumb. A couple of girls, even though I'm 6'5", they made me look like I didn't know what I was doing, look like another goalpost. So
look, size isn't everything in netball, but you never know, maybe even a social team. It's it's a great game and a great way to spend an hour on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, well, thanks for having me, Matt. It was great to chat to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I've enjoyed it very much. So everyone that's listening here, this is going to go up onto Duckman TV later on. This will also go on Pulse FM. So we'll become a podcast. Will go on Pulse FM in the next couple of weeks. And you'll see a story about this in the May edition for May or June. I've got to have a look if I've already got articles in for the Hawkesbury Independent as well. So, Kirsten, thanks for your time, and I hope to catch up with you sometime throughout the season.
Come on down to catch a game. We'd love to see you there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. Appreciate it very much. Keep on ducking, everyone. I'll catch you all again soon.